Patrols through the dense, unforgiving jungle were often shrouded in a thick mist, adding to the ever-present tension.
The dense jungle concealed countless threats, forcing the soldiers to move with extreme caution.
In the dense mist of the jungle, every step was measured. Uncertainty hung heavy in the air, thicker even than the fog surrounding them. This sector was critical. The muddy ground made progress slow, but silence was paramount for the advance to succeed. The dense jungle of Southeast Asia proved as formidable an enemy as any the soldiers faced, a green hell that tested their resolve daily.
After 1965, the U.S. believed victory was only a matter of time. But the Vietnam War was unlike any battlefield they had ever faced. The Geneva Accords of 1954 established the 17th parallel as a provisional military demarcation line.
The map illustrates the scale of the U.S. military commitment. These red arrows signify the major campaign operations moving steadily.
As the red arrows multiplied, so did the commitment of American forces, signifying a major escalation in the conflict.
The situation demanded decisive action. General Westmoreland remained resolute, convinced that
Pointing to the strategy, the general emphasized the critical nature of the upcoming offensive. Success here was considered paramount to the overall war effort.
The War of Attrition. The objective: inflict heavy casualties.
To force the enemy's collapse.
A search and destroy patrol moved through the treacherous jungle. Their mission, to root out the Viet Cong, was fraught with danger at every turn. In the unforgiving jungle terrain, visibility was limited. The soldiers relied on their training to navigate the treacherous undergrowth. Day after day, the American soldier faced not only the enemy, but the relentless, suffocating humidity of the swamp. Clearing the village was a methodical process. Every structure had to be checked, every shadow scrutinized for signs of the enemy.
the U.S. soldier holds the line, an essential overwatch position at the jungle's edge.
For the infantrymen, the sound of the incoming slicks was a mix of relief and anxiety. They knew that within moments of landing, the real fight would begin.
Go, go, move out, keep it tight!
The initial moments on the ground were decisive. Maintaining discipline under fire was crucial for the unit's success. Air support was crucial for ground troops. The Huey helicopters provided a heavy machine gun fire. Day after day, the artillery pounded the landscape, a relentless display of overwhelming firepower directed at the dense jungle canopy.
The B-52s flew at high altitudes, releasing their payloads over the dense jungle canopy.
Secrecy was paramount. Every movement near the tunnel had to be swift and silent, lest they alert the patrols above.
Deep in the jungle, the unseen enemy was everywhere. This camouflaged pit, armed with sharpened bamboo stakes.
By 1943, the subterranean network had expanded significantly, providing a critical strategic advantage in the southern sector.
The NVA utilized the dense jungle terrain to their advantage. Here we see the careful construction of a deadly punji trap. Deep in the jungle, the unseen enemy was everywhere. This camouflaged pit, armed with sharpened bamboo stakes.
Hidden deep within the dense jungle foliage, the enemy waited. The ambush was swift and brutal.
Get down! Take cover!
The elusive guerrillas, as they were known, moved like phantoms through the dense jungle canopy, masters of their environment. By 1968, the use of improvised mines, such as this pressure-activated device, had become tragically
Patrols were inherently dangerous. Even a routine sweep could turn deadly in an instant. This soldier was fortunate to survive the initial blast.
In the jungles of Vietnam, control was determined not by what was seen,
but by the ability to remain hidden.
Launched in March 1965, Operation Rolling Thunder represented a major escalation.
The F-105 Thunder Chief,
or THUD as it was known, carried the brunt of the early bombing campaigns.
The surface-to-air missile, or SAM, provided a critical defensive capability during the Cold War.
As the sirens wailed, the city's defenses opened fire. It was a terrifying symphony of explosions.
The aircraft sustained a direct hit from a surface-to-air missile, severely damaging the engine. The pilot had only seconds.
Damaged and trailing smoke, the Super Sebra became yet another casualty of Operation Rolling Thunder.
The relentless bombing continued as the stylized bomber released its payload. The resulting explosions
The U.S. struck hard. But the enemy did not break.
The war entered a relentless, inescapable spiral. It was here, in the secluded command center, that Westmoreland faced his greatest challenge, a war that seemed unwinnable. This was the challenge facing General Westmoreland, a map of entangled lines showing little to no progress.
For the men on the ground, the enemy was often secondary to the environment. Weariness became a constant companion in the humid jungle. Known as the Viet Cong, or NVA, these soldiers were characterized by their resilience and intimate knowledge of the dense jungle environment they called home.
The split screen perfectly encapsulated the stalemate. While the American soldier navigated the oppressive heat, the Viet
A deadlock, by definition, is a state of inaction resulting from the opposition of equally strong, uncompromising forces. As the sun set on that fateful day, the true cost of the victory became agonizingly clear. 1967. Stalemate deepened. Both sides braced for a major turning point. With the signing of this treaty, the war finally came to an end. The cost, however, was immeasurable.
On the morning of January 30th, 1968, the offensive began. A coordinated series of surprise attacks across Vietnam.
This was the moment everything changed. A true turning point in the conflict.
The Great Transformation was underway, an iron road binding a fractured nation together, forever changing the American landscape.
Through the dense mist of the jungle, the American soldiers marched onward, a repetitive journey into the heart of the conflict. Moving through the treacherous terrain, the U.S. soldier maintained constant vigilance, scanning the dense jungle for threats. Moving through the undergrowth required immense stamina, often taking hours to advance mere yards.
The dense jungle provided ample cover, but the river crossings were arduous. Every step forward was a struggle against the current and the unseen enemy.
Here, amidst the breathtaking beauty of the sunset, the cost of the long war was measured in silhouettes and shadows.
Blue icons represent U.S. and ARVN forces flowing into the south, while the red marks the persistent movement of the NVA down the Ho Chi Minh Trail.
Despite the optimistic reports, the general recognized the immense challenges ahead. Victory, it seemed, was increasingly elusive.
This is the core principle of attrition. By inflicting continuous, unsustainable losses, the enemy's capacity.
A key component of the strategy was the search and destroy mission, aimed at rooting out enemy strongholds in the dense forested areas.
The overwhelming firepower demonstrated by the Huey gunships and the saturation bombing runs of the B-52 represents. The Viet Cong utilized an extensive network of underground tunnels to evade detection. They booby-trapped the jungle floor with punji sticks.
In the dense jungle, the unseen enemy moved like smoke. Only the slightest disturbance in the earth hinted.
The vast formations of American air power demonstrated a new era of warfare, one where the skies belonged entirely to the few. The air defense response escalated rapidly, the sky filled with launching SAM missiles and the intense, repeat bursts of anti-air.
With its engine failing and hydraulics compromised,
Major Thompson fought desperately to keep the crippled aircraft airborne over enemy territory.
The craters dominate the landscape, silent witnesses to the intensity of the barrage that leveled the surrounding forest.
Radar blips began to intensify, quickly overwhelming the screen with visual clutter. The struggle continues. Despite the overwhelming firepower, the elusive enemy proved increasingly difficult to pin down. Frustration mounted on both. The true cost of war is rarely found on a balance sheet. It is paid here, in the quiet moments of exhaustion.
For centuries, the shifting sands have dominated the landscape, a bleak and unchanging testament to the power of the wind.
The long grind, as it came to be known, was a period defined not by grand battles, but by the agonizingly slow passage of time. These were the whispers of change, quiet at first, but carrying the weight of impending conflict. They called it the Great Shadow. It crept silently across the land, bringing with it an uncertainty they had never known.
In the dense jungles of Vietnam, two forces stood ready. The next move was shrouded in uncertainty.
Here, amidst the serene beauty of the ancient jungle, we find only silence.
As diplomatic efforts stalled, the long simmering resentment between the factions began to boil over. The stage was set for confrontation.
This is the impending shift. The map, once stable, began to warp, signaling an unstable and transformative era.
A new chapter, a blank, clean map emerges, symbolizing a fresh, unknown phase, a clean slate, a new beginning.
This moment, captured in ink and parchment, signaled the dawn of a radical experiment. The world would never be the same. 1967. Stalemate deepened.
Both sides braced for a major turning point.
Every conflict has a moment when the balance shifts, a single event that changes the course of history forever.
This pivotal moment marked not the end of history, but perhaps the end of the beginning. What followed would shape the modern world.
The jungle surrenders its secrets slowly. For the explorers, this misty dawn marked the beginning of...
For the American soldier, the jungle was a persistent enemy. Every patrol, every watch demanded absolute vigilance.
Here, hidden within the dense bush, the unseen movement occurred. A faint rustle.
The overhead view clearly illustrates the logistical challenges. Forces moved south across the 17th parallel, while
This wide shot captures the sheer scale of the shelling, an overwhelming display of firepower meant to break the resolve of the defenders.
Under the deafening roar of the rotors, the troops deployed rapidly, securing the perimeter of the landing zone.
the B-52 Stratofortress was capable of delivering a continuous stream of munitions, effectively creating a carpet of...
In the dense jungle, the NVA utilized the terrain itself as a weapon. Here, in the dense jungle, the NVA utilized the terrain itself as a weapon. Here,
a swift ambush. The Viet Cong would appear without warning, deliver a heavy volley of fire, and vanish into the undergrowth before U.S. forces could react.
In asymmetric warfare, the hidden enemy often proves the most devastating. This explosive device detonated at approximately 1400 hours. For the bomber crews, the constant barrage of flak was a terrifying reality of daylight operations. As the surface-to-air missiles closed in, the aircraft deployed countermeasures. This dramatic corkscrew maneuver... The B-52, severely crippled, fought against the pull of gravity. It was a testament to the crew's training that...
By 1967, North Vietnamese air defenses represented the most sophisticated network the squadron had ever faced.
Despite the influx of troops, the logistical challenges in the Ia Drang Valley proved immense, leading to growing concerns in the command.
Across the centuries, the weapons evolve, but the fundamental struggle of war remains an endless loop.
1967. The stalemate deepened.
Both sides